Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Spiritual Psychics TV and this show, Being Spiritual, with me, your host, Ashley Robinson. It's wonderful to be here. February already, 8 o'clock UK time, and wherever you're joining us in the world, I would love to know. Do get involved in the show tonight. It's an interactive and engaging show. I love hearing from you. And initially, let's test that. Let's see who's watching the show tonight on Facebook and YouTube. And let me know where in the world you are tonight. If you are a regular viewer who's come back, thank you. Thank you for coming back. And of course, if it's your first time on this show this evening, then a special welcome to you. Really excited to be back this evening. And I've got my good friend and a very special guest, Miss Birgitta Visser. Hi, Birgitta. Good evening to you.
Hi Ash, how are you? It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great to have you back on this show. And you know, over the last almost 10 years now, we've done different bits and pieces together. But from a digital point of view, you were the person that first got me involved in doing anything sort of digital. You did my first ever YouTube video at Wimbledon Spiritualist Church.
Yes, I did. Oh my gosh, I did. And of course, what was it called? Come on, the weekend away, Spirit Seeker.
Spirit Seeker, yeah. Our annual spiritual retreat. We've got our next one in Bournemouth in about 3 or 4 weeks' time. And folks, if you don't know what we're talking about, do check out spiritseeker.co.uk. We've got a wonderful opportunity of getting like-minded people together in Bournemouth in March, and then we're at Stratford-upon-Avon in October. Which is one of our new venues and really lovely place. And of course, Birgitta, I had the opportunity to go on your show. You were broadcasting on SPTV, Origins of the Ancients.
That's right. I did that too several years ago now. Time flies.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun. But folks, tonight I'm going to do a little bit of a soft interview with Birgitta, find out what she's been up to, and she's also going to be talking to us a little bit about light language. And in general, the theme tonight is all about spiritual awakening, what that might mean to you, to me, and Birgitta. So we'll do a couple of hellos and welcomes. If you are on YouTube, do share this stream, folks, across your social medias with a link. And if you want to participate in the live chat, make sure you've logged in and we should be able to see your comments. If you're on Facebook, folks, you can share this straight to your wall. Let everyone know you're watching the show tonight. And I see that Terry Louise is joining us this evening, so I'm looking really well. Thank you very much, Terry. Lovely to have you here this evening. And then Birgitta's going to do the alternate hellos.
Oh, hi, Benny. Hope you're keeping well.
I recognise this guy, my dad. Hello, Dad, and I know that Mum is will be watching me this show. Whether or not Mum will make it past 9 o'clock, or whether or not she'll fall asleep, not because I bore her, but often past her bedtime these days.
Really? Hi, Sarah. Hope you're keeping well. Welcome to the show.
Jackie Lewis, good evening to you.
Hi, Mary from Portsmouth down south.
Debs Lancaster, hi from Edinburgh, on top of the country this evening.
Oh, hi, Gina from Boston, Massachusetts. That's across the pond.
Absolutely. Lovely part of the world. Celebrated my dad's 60th there a couple of years ago over Christmas. Beautiful part of the world. And Kath Ryan from Bristol. Good evening, Kath.
Hi, Simon. Good to have you with us from Devon.
And Victoria Jane Palmer on Facebook. Good evening to us all. Good evening to you, Victoria.
Katra from the West Midlands.
Hey, Katra. And Helen from Wiltshire. Helen Mansell. Hello.
Hi, Pamela. I hope you're keeping well.
And Lisa Pearl says, good afternoon from New England, USA. Yeah, a couple of friends from across the pond and across the country today.
I know. I've got Rita here from West Yorkshire.
Hi, Jay. Welcome to you on YouTube.
Maxine. Oh, the sound isn't great. Really?
If you're joining on Facebook, Maxine, maybe just try closing the stream and coming back in. Hopefully, everyone else is picking us up okay. Mary Dixie.
Mary.
And Jess, is that Jessie? Yeah.
No, it says Jackie from Sutton.
Yeah, not too far from me at all.
No, right in my hood.
Limo de Pimo. Well, the sound
thing.
is bad. Okay. Well, hopefully, folks, there's a few of you reporting some sound problems. Hopefully, it either gets better. But if anyone else is having problems with sound, do let us know in the chat bar, and we'll try and correct that. I'm not on a microphone at the moment. Maybe I need to switch onto a mic. Yeah, let us know what the sound problem is, folks. And Kathleen, good evening to you.
Hey, Stephen. You say Mom is making sure you're being a good boy, Ashley. Well, I'm sure he is.
And Carolyn Thomas from South Africa. Hiya, Carolyn.
Hi, Sarah.
Claire Colbeck on YouTube. Good evening to you.
I love the picture. Oh, Helen again.
Some butterflies. Namasate from Idaho. Eva Brown. Good evening to you.
Oh, Gary and come on. Oh my God, I'm having a brain freeze. And Leonie, hello to you both. Gonna give you a big virtual hug.
Joanne Ripper says she can hear us okay. That's good, Joanne. Good evening to you, my friend.
Hey, Rebecca. Yes, indeed, it's Friday again. But you know what? I can't even. Time just got. It just gets away with me. I don't even know what day it is.
Shelley Stewart. Good evening to you.
Oh, hey, Jazz from Romford. That's Essex, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we've got round to saying hello to most of you that joined the stream initially. If we've not mentioned your name, it wasn't personal, folks. I'm glad that most of you seem to be able to hear us okay, which is good. But if for those that are having problems, just comment on the sidebar what the issues are. We'll try and resolve them for you. So, welcome to Being Spiritual. It's a spiritualist philosophy show, so we have the opportunity to ask us a question, folks. Start thinking about the types of questions you would like to ask. When you do ask a question, I will try and give a couple of quick psychic messages and readings this evening as well. But I want to really find out a little bit about what Birgitta has been up to and the types of things that she's been getting up to. And we're going to talk a little bit about light language. The language of light. It's something that I only really knew it was in existence about a year ago. And the first person I wrote to when I was reading an article about it was my friend Birgitta. I said, "Have you ever heard of this stuff?" And of course she said, "Yes, of course I have." When we were chatting about coming on the show tonight, I said, "Well, how about talking about the light language or the language of light?" So in a nutshell, Birgitta, what is light language?
I'm just skipping a whole subject, but okay, we can talk about light language.
We'll go backwards.
Yes, that's fine. Oh my gosh, light language is well, it's the language of the soul. You won't understand it on a conscious level, and you do not need to understand it on a conscious level, but you understand it, as I always say, on a cellular level, right? So your soul understands it, and you heal, and it's a fast track to healing. And I actually remember, because I love Louise Roach, she's my go-to healer, and I know exactly when I need to call her, because it's like this antenna in my body, and it's like, you know what, I need the healing, I need a tune up, boom, and it gets sorted. And it's so powerful. Yeah, it's like I said, it's so powerful. You cannot deny that you will feel differently.
Good, and I deliberately jumped straight in there because I want people to start thinking about some of the questions we mentioned. Origins of the ancients. We mentioned some of the videos and the videography you did in and around Life After Promotions and Wimbledon Spiritualist Church when you were helping us to sort of get a bit of a presence on YouTube and the digital media. So it's something you've been doing, yourself, far more than a hobby. You've got a lot of professional skills in the digital sort of marketing world. You have a page on Facebook. What's that called?
It's called Universal Light Warriors.
Universal Light Warriors, and I love that idea because like a tin of Rinsea, it says what it does on the tin. It's universal. I always love the idea of a warrior creed, and the idea of people that want to do something which is the right thing to do in the situation. Moral courage.
Yes, and we're all light warriors. We're all divine. We're all beings of the divine, and people always say, yeah, but why did we come here? Why did we come to Earth, right? Because we can't remember. We get bushwhacked on the head. We come in cold turkey, and we've forgotten our mission. And we have to figure out, how to maneuver ourselves in this earthly jungle because it's like a maze. But we're here to remember who we are and to help Mother Earth ascend into the next dimension. And when people talk about ascension, it's like, well, what is it? Well, from third, where we're now, well, we're shifting already. It's about that fear and letting go of the ego and that separation because we're all one, and shifting your consciousness, right, by alchemizing your unhealed trauma, your unhealed issues, because we always hang on to every little thing. And we always point like, yeah, but this person did this and this person did that. And you know what? This person made me feel this way. No, you are absolutely 100% responsible for your own life. If you want to change, don't wait for other people to change, right? Start changing yourself, because inner movement commences from within. And that is so important. These are such transformational and changing times that we live in. And, for me, I mean, me, Ash, I mean, I've been through a lot of trauma since my childhood, but I had to learn to take responsibility. And I had to figure out, I didn't come with a cheat sheet, when I was born. So I had to figure it all out. And people always say, yeah, but this happened in my childhood. It wasn't my fault. Yeah, I was abused in my childhood, but I took responsibility. Right? And I forgave everyone in my life. I have no bitterness because I love every single person that's been in my life. Right? I can say to everyone here on Spiritual Psychics TV that I love you, because honestly, I do love you. We're all brothers and sisters of the light, and our divine nature is love. Yeah? And we're here to return to a love for ourselves. And that's what it is. And that's why, but the ego is often in the driver's seat, and we judge other people. We have opinions about other people. Why create all that drama? When people say something about you, it's not about you, but it's about them and how they feel about themselves. At the end of the day, we're all reflections of one another. We're all teachers. And if we view life that way, and if we were to accept one another and embrace one another as we are, and understand that we're all at different levels of awareness and consciousness, and just accept that, boom, life would be, it would be different in a heartbeat.
Yeah. And you touched on a couple of buzzwords there that for me on bingo being spiritual we've touched about, because we spoke about spiritualism, and almost all over the world when you talk about the founding principles of either spiritualist churches or movements, personal responsibilities right up there in terms of the way you live your life. They've also spoke about love, and in particular unconditional love. And I think most people living a spiritual life within spiritualism talk about how powerful that is, potentially one of the most powerful things in the world. But I also wanted to go back to one of the things you said about sort of language, and we'll talk a bit more about light language in a minute. But as human beings, our spoken word, our language is a human condition. It's something we've created and we use this sort of time as a sort of an earthly experience. But of course, it's only one way that people can communicate. And although we find it efficient in 2023 a lot of the time, actually there's loads of different languages, there's loads of different tones. There are people that can't always, hear physically with their ears. And actually you could take two dogs from two different parts of the world where humans speak a different language, and the dogs would actually get on fine. They'd be communicating instantly there might be a bit of sniffing involved as well, but they'd be communicating. So language is this sort of this earthly condition. I wanted to come back on that, but I just want to talk about a video. So you share all sorts of amazing things with me and channeled messages as well. We did a show where you spoke about channeling messages from that world. But one of my favorite videos was a video of two young girls talking telepathically. And it imagines that they're almost sat in that sort of spiritual realm. And they're almost sort of, one of them's almost teasing the other, thinking, I can't believe you're thinking about having an experience down on Earth as a human being. Why would you want to go down there? It's so nice up here. And the little girl sort of said, well, I have to. They need me down there. My friends and my family have already gone down there, and they need help because they've sort of forgotten that purpose. So I'll get you to come back and talk a little bit more about language. But just as you were talking, I was remembering that video and the power of it.
Just quickly, Jay saying, can the question be on anything spiritual?
Absolutely.
Jay.
Absolutely. Get your questions ready. We're priming you all up now, Jay and folks. I'm beginning to give us a couple of bits of subject matter. It's all about this spiritual awakening. So from a language point of view, as I said, so here we are. We're talking in English. We've got people from all over the world watching, and there are other ways of communicating. And you said to a certain extent, we don't need to be conscious of a message in the same way we do with language like English.
Yeah, absolutely. I just saw the comment by Ava. Indeed, it's beautiful to navigate through the stagnation, because that's exactly what it is. You hit a point there, Ava. We become stagnant, and because we don't alchemize our experiences, right? Because we're all energy, we're all consciousness, and we remain in that toxicity. It's really simple. What we vibe out, we reel back in. That's just the law of cause and effect. That's the law of attraction, right? Because we're energy. But when you let that go, when you commence to heal, and that weight has shifted, right? You change from within. And so your outer world will commence to change as well. Well, it doesn't go overnight, but it takes time. And I think when you go through any healing process and you come out the other side, you appreciate so much more.
Absolutely. And for people who've been watching my show on and off for the last couple of years, there's a game that sometimes people play with. How many times will Ash mention Ralph A. Steadman? Ralph was one of my favorite philosophers, in this experience. And I just want to sort of quote something he used to say, because you and I were chatting offline. I've just become an accredited spiritualist celebrant, folks. So I'm on my path to be ordained as a spiritualist minister. And Leslie Moulton, that's watching the show tonight, she actually took me through my spiritual counselling course. And I've been, accredited now to help people with counselling. Now, Ralph Steadman was a counsellor. He was also a bereavement counsellor. And just before he passed over, he said, I want to let you into a secret about my own experiences. He said, when I have all these people that come to me that are upset or miserable, or they're grieving, and particularly, they're grieving about things that have happened in this experience, as well as perhaps a physical loss. And he said to me, what I try and do is, through the counselling, is take them to a point that the people can accept what's happened as an experience. And then actually, one of the most amazing transformations is when they've accepted the experience, they actually then thank anyone that may have caused some sort of harm. And I said, so is that then the secret to overcoming it? He said, no, that's only the second step. He said, and as I take people through that acceptance and forgiving other people, forgiving themselves, he said, one of the most amazing things is when people that have been hurt actually thank those for those experiences because of the person it's made. And he said, often when people are, he gave me an example of a woman who's perhaps been cheated on by a partner and goes there for counselling and doesn't want to forgive the person that's hurt her. But when they have done, he said there was this awakening amongst themselves where that person had no hold over them at all, and they'd given it back to the universe, for want of a better words. And when you were talking now, I was remembering what Ralph had said. And you mentioned about your own trauma and about sort of recognizing that experience, but you also showed your love, and you demonstrated that love by showing that you sort of love us all. So love conquers all, quite a famous tattoo, but also, you know, probably some deeper meaning there.
So I just want to give that example, and I will put it in a nutshell of just the stuff that I've been through, so that I want people to understand that you can overcome anything, right? So as a child, I was abused by a friend of the family. And because I didn't heal that, I was a kid, you know, what did I know about healing? And it was the 80s, so it was very different, you know. And then I mean, my dad died when I was nearly 14, so that was a blow as well. And I was very good at starving myself for many, many years, because that was my superpower. This is what I could control. And you know, I mean, I rolled into modeling, and there was abuse there too. I mean, it's a very superficial world, but you know, I kept a lot to myself, because it was like, yeah, who am I going to tell? I mean, I did tell my mom when I was 19 that I was abused, you know, and she was like, oh, was it your dad? I'm like, no. And I explained it to her, but she was always like, but you need to get help. You need to, you know, and you need to talk about it. And I just couldn't at that time. And so, you know, from that, I mean, when my stepdad died, I had a stint for 3 months with drugs. I could have killed myself because I took so many E's one night. You know, it was always, people were always saying, Brigitta, you know what, let's stop talking about it. They always wanted the happy face, you know, and I couldn't turn to anyone, because I was also, my mom was also leaning on me at that time. And so because I didn't heal, I rolled into toxic relationships, so many abusive kind of relationships. And it was only when I was much older, I think through 2009, when I started to change, because of a very traumatic experience, because my ex was in bed with the Crips in Holland. And I did save his life. He was held for ransom, did save his life. And he's actually turned his life around now. He's doing really, really well, funnily enough. But that got me onto the healing path. And so that's when I started to study a lot, you know, Reiki and many, many other healing modalities. And I was really like a SpongeBob. And then in 2016, that's when I learned to channel, because I went through another very traumatic relationship. Somebody who wouldn't leave me alone, you know, kept bugging me, moved 2 doors down from me, harassed me, blackmailed me and everything. But, you know, in all that, I always soldiered on. I always kept working, and I worked like a dog, literally. But yeah, so, you know, I walked through the Akashic record healing, which is past life healing, very, very powerful as well. And I learned to channel. So I recovered the channeling, really, and I've done it every day since. Because if you want to do something in your life, if you want to achieve something, you know, it's like going to the gym. You don't just go once. You have to keep at it, you know, in order to progress and in order to move forward.
I think that point of, you know, what's it all about then? You know, that final bit there, moving forwards, onwards, having the experiences, making the most of those experiences, but having that self-awareness that you just described there. You've also said you didn't have that immediately. You had to work towards that.
Yes.
And actually the feeling that you've had by being more self-aware and then recognizing which direction you want to go with it.
Yeah, this is an interesting one where Deb says she finds the forgiveness part very difficult towards a member of my family. I can accept their issues, but not why it impacted me. But Deb, it's okay. I'm going to say something right now. I've said to you, take responsibility for your life. It doesn't matter about the other people. It's not, you know what, when people say, I mean, tongues can be sharp, right, Ash? And again, it doesn't matter what people say to you. It's not about you, it's about them. So let it go, just let it go. And the forgiveness part of that's difficult for you. It's because you're stuck in that mentality of the ego. You're so conditioned, and we are all conditioned and set in our ways. You know, for me, it's taken a long time to get rid of all the labels, the fear, the shame, and everything. But this is one of you. It's not an issue, but you've made it an issue, and you need to ask yourself why it's impacted you and why you cannot let go.
Nice, thank you. And Debs, I'll draw a quick card for you. And I saw Jay asked a question about spirit guides. So just do it reverse. Jay, absolutely. I believe that we all have at least one guide. Most of us have many and different guides come in and out of our life. And you asked in particular what your guide has to say for you. You need to listen to that message perhaps at a subconscious level. But Jay, I've drawn a card for you, and then Debs, I've drawn one for you. And Jay, the card I've drawn from you is the death card. Okay, and you know, don't panic about the death card, because for me, death is all about closure. It's all about finality. But this card in particular, within that sense of death, there is a tomb. And tomb for me is the resting place for that finality, and perhaps a tomb where we place our heroes. And there's this element, as you're asking this question about your guide, about there being this meeting place, about where you will be able to go and to meet with your guides and your guide team, but also that ultimately that death in terms of experience is the end of something and the start of something new. You know, as a spiritualist, me and I talk about a life after that change we call death, or life after death, that death as a human being is still life in a sort of another way. The other thing about this card was these beautiful flowers, Jay, that they're sort of down the side, and it's like the pathway to the portal. Okay, so think about death not as an end of something, but as the start of something new, about the closure of a chapter. And just before I go on to Debs, I'm just going to see whether or not Brigitte wanted to say anything else for you, Jay.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I because I get the card breathe, and when I hear it breathing, it's reeling back in, in your inward journey, and learning to breathe and remain calm under any circumstances. And I think what they're also saying it's like you've been seeking for a while, but it's really about centering yourself. And maybe with breathing, it's also good to meditate. So if you do not meditate, then start meditating.
Nice. Jay, you're very welcome. And Debs, thank you for sharing your thoughts with Brigitte. I think it's brilliant when you're brave when anyone shares anything online, but opening yourself up. And Debs, I hope you don't feel vulnerable. And I think Brigitte gave you a beautiful answer there. As she was talking, I had this card here, which is message. Okay, and this card in particular is about the message in the bottle. And I always love this card because I think about a fisherman that has perhaps gone out and they've been looking for one thing, and they've actually discovered this other thing. And now, lying on the deck, like your portfolio, Debs, your scrapbook, you have this message, and you're kind of scratching your head, and you're thinking, right, well, I went into the ocean looking for one thing, and I've came out with this other thing, and it's now my catch of the day. And actually, you can keep throwing this back, but it floats back up, and it keeps appearing on your deck. And for me, this is the promise of a message. This is the promise of what Brigitte was talking about earlier on, about understanding the conscious versus the subconscious, and understanding that message that is coming to fruition. And for your own spiritual awakening, Debs, I keep being pointed to your mind's eye, and about this message there waiting for you to be read. Now, within your mind's eye, it could be a letter, it could be an email, it could be something subconscious, but within that mind's eye, I always think about it like a blank canvas or a mirror, and within that mirror, starting to understand that message. And you might get to the point that one day you're channeling messages in that mind's eye, in that mirror, like the way that Brigitte can do. But for the time being, I just wanted to say there's this message there waiting for you. And I want you to be prepared, and I want you to be receptive to the message of important news. And I do recognize this next logical step for you, Debs, within your own progression. Brigitte, would you like to ask or add anything?
It's funny because I pulled the same card. It's a treasure.
Collective consciousness.
Yeah, seriously, I'm not kidding you. Look, it's a treasure. And it doesn't matter, sometimes it takes us a while to come to that point, but when we do, when we get these aha moments, it's like, you know what, everything was already within me, and eventually you'll be able to let that go. But it's for you to reach that point, because there's so much more for you in life, you know. There really, really is.
Nice. And I love it when you know, spirit and beings can work in a way where they can influence us. You know, we're in different places, they're in different places. It's great. And I'm going to get Brigitte to give us some of her opinions on guides, because Jay was asking about, you know, his guide and what's the message for him. Brigitte, a lot of the messages you share on your website and your Facebook page, they aren't messages for you. They're not necessarily private messages for you. They're messages for you to share. And there's this sort of idea of, you know, we're just talking about a message there for Debs, and she's developing as a medium, so thanks for that verification, Debs. You've got this sort of ability to share those messages, and then with, you know, the advent in 23 of social media, you can sort of share them wider. Do you have any sort of idea about what the message might be before you start, you know, putting that pen or those fingers to the keyboard?
No, I never know. I just, you know, I mean, I have so many different guides right now. I mean, sometimes even with the light language, they're all standing there. It's like a whole bunch of them. And it's like, hello. Yeah, sometimes there's a whole bunch of them waiting to be channeled. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I have a list now. I cannot channel all of you at the same time. So I have, you know, I have some of them who use a lot of songs. Of course, I channel a lot. You know, I channel the Ascended Master Saint Germain a lot. He's one of my main guides, so to speak. And he's hilarious. And, you know, they're always about taking life with a pinch of salt. And and that's basically what it is. But we get so absorbed within our experiences, right? Within our trauma, within our issues, within our dramas, that we get lost, right? We allow life to run us rather than take control of our lives. There's a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got a question here from Madam Ashley, but just off the back of what you were saying there, when I discussed sort of mediumship and giving someone evidence of a personality of someone's sort of life after that change, we call it. I often speak about, because I use my own labels, things that make sense to me. I talk about, you know, the earthly life, this incarnation as a human being, and then I talk about the afterlife, the life after the change that our body's gone through that we call death. I call that place heaven, because I just like the label. For me, it's a descriptive word of what I think of as the spirit world, and I often speak about spirit as being energy, and therefore it's almost like everything else that isn't this 3D experience on Earth could actually be considered as heaven. And when my communicators come through to give people a message, I talk about them, you know, being in that place I call heaven, or sometimes I even talk about them being in like a limbo. If this is the third dimension, perhaps they're in more of a fourth dimension to communicate with me. But I wondered whether or not you wanted to give any sort of plain English interpretations about any of the other planes in or around Earth.
Yeah, so there are many. So I talked to a lot of the beings, some of them that are not like Arcturian or Palladian or Syrian, or they are from the Syrian star belt, but they're like squid heads, and some of them are called rainbow reptilians, because people always think, oh, you know, reptilians are they're so bad, but not all of them are bad, not at all. Some have attained a higher level of consciousness, and they're all about unconditional love. They really are. But we're all star seeds, right? And people are like, yeah, no, actually, they've given it to me very simple. You're a seed in a pod, a soul in a bod.
Oh, I like that. So that again, a seed in a pod,
a soul in a bod.
Soul in a bod.
Yeah,
that's nice. And you know, we've done a few shows about the concept of reincarnation. We've had questions about, is it possible to be in more than one place at the same time? So energy can, and if we're all energy, then, you know, my limited understanding is, but yeah, that's quite a nice phrase. So Adam was asking that he sees and hears someone for years that no one else can see. Is it a spirit or a spirit guide? I mean, always look for other normal explanations, you know, Adam. But, you know, for me, I think that if you're seeing things that other people aren't seeing with their actual eyes, which is only just part of the frequency of energy, then you're certainly seeing something. And I'd always say, you know, I generally encourage people with supervision and development and circle leaders to challenge the communicating. Now, who is it? Ask them who they are. Ask them if they are a guide. Ask them if they are just spirit that are popping in to sort of say hello. And we all have the ability to work with these gifts of mediumship. And mediumship, although we just described it as one thing, can also, for me, include seeing and hearing things that you're not using your traditional sort of senses for. So I've drawn a card for you, which I'll go on to for in a moment. But I wanted to bring Birgitta in on that question as well.
Yeah. So it's weird because I always say to people, there are great little exercises that you can do, right, to become far clearer. It's like when you want to sit down, I do automatic writing as well. So it's like when you sit down with a notepad and a pen, and whoever's there, you say, I'm open and ready to receive. And rather than letting your mind, you need to put your mind aside. And whatever you get, it doesn't matter if it's just one sentence, just write it down. But the other thing that's really important is meditation. It's so important because you will gain more clarity and you will tune in much, much better. And it's very, I do this a lot with Lord Sananda, who was Jesus in one of his incarnations. He was actually from Venus. And which kind of makes sense, right? All about love. But the breath, we breathe very shallow. And because we breathe very shallow, we live very much in the shallowness of ourselves. We walk on the surface of ourselves. When we breathe in, we should breathe in all the way to the root chakra. How many people do that? And when we breathe out, right, we breathe all the way up to the crown chakra. And when you start doing that, you reach kind of that 0 point. And I always say, when you start, it's like breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. And then do that 10 times and then start with 8 count. And it's not going to be easy, but once you get used to it, it's very, very powerful. So you'll gain more clarity, but you also oxygenate the whole circulatory system, right? Because we're energy, we've got atomic, or they always say atomic, we're consistent of atomic particles, molecules, everything that's energy. And you move that energy within your body and you release that dis-ease within yourself. So that is really important. And so I always say, to start out, if you're not sure, go to YouTube and listen to meditations by David J.I. So David, next word J.I.
Good advice, and practice makes perfect. And Adam, the card that I drew for you was actually the no card, because I've mixed all my cards up today, and for me the no is like a decision card. So if we were asking, do I do something, yes or no, or then before, but actually in this context, Adam, for me it was about the fact that you had been held back. It was like red light, stop, stand still. Some people might see that as a sort of negative card, but I want to say, Adam, that when I sort of drew this card for you, there was this element of that's been where you've been. And actually, what do you do at a red light in the road in your car? You wait, you stand by, you're planning your next move, and you're waiting for amber, and it's about you getting ready for amber to get into standby for green for go, because you've been held back, you're in standby, this is your investment time, you're in tick over, you're now thinking about amber and the next move. Birgitta.
Well, that's very true. It's funny that I got this, because you're going to laugh at this card. Look at it. You see the window there?
Yeah.
See the window there? So it's there. It's right there, Adam. And it's like Ashley said, it's kind of amber still, but it's finding the tools, and it's taking those steps, because it's there. It's wide open for you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Birgitta. And thinking about communicating and stuff, and I love what I would describe as a sort of an umbrella paranormal activity, anything which isn't normal sort of traditional senses. I've sat in physical circles where I've encouraged friends and family in the spirit world to make a rap or a tap or a knock or a bang, and show orbs on cameras and stuff. And I always get disappointed on how much time and discipline and patience it takes, because it's not easy, is it? You know, I'm always told by my own friends and family spirit world, in the spirit world, it's pure thought. All I need to do is think it and it happens. In your world, it's a lot harder for me to influence that. And therefore I think about, you know, the modern spiritualism, which I think is about 175 years old now, but the way that we do the mediumship now, and when we're cutting out all of the physical stuff, we're not waiting to see a spirit with our eyes or hear a spirit with our ears, but we're inviting spirit to sort of to come forward. And there's that language point of view, because I read for clients, you know, that maybe don't speak English as a first language, and they often have an interpreter so they understand me, but their communicator, who also didn't speak English as a first language, just communicates in a way that I instantly sort of understand.
Absolutely.
So is that sort of thing of I'm still got a language as a barrier, but when you're channeling, what sort of influence are they having on you for them to be in a position where you can understand what is being sent your way?
Oh my goodness, you know what? I think they reprogrammed me completely, especially with writing of my book. But it's like, oh, yeah, I get that. I understand that now. So there's been so much, and especially, can I just go back to the former question?
Yeah.
There was, Carrie was saying about childhood trauma, and if that's like if you what was it, for spiritual development, something along those lines. Yeah. So can childhood trauma start spiritual development, if that makes sense? Absolutely. That is what it's about, right? It's overcoming that childhood trauma by developing yourself. It doesn't matter how you choose to develop yourself, but it's about that spiritual enlightenment and about releasing that trauma and develop so that you get a better understanding of life, you know, rather than being saturated in it. So absolutely. And you know, much of the stuff that I've channeled is really about returning to a love of self, overcoming trauma, and how they laugh at our experiences. Because, you know, come on, Ash, we're the producer, we're the director, we're the camera person, we're the actors, we choose the characters. If at any point you don't like it, right, you change the flipping script, right? Because you have that choice. And that took me a long time to figure out, because I allowed my life to be lived. It was like I was taking a back seat. Now I've taken complete control of my life, right? Because we are creators, we are manifestors, we are divine alchemists. And that's all Saint Germain stuff, but it's about transformation. Life is about transformation, you know, and about evolving and expanding our consciousness. That's what life is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Those experiences. And, you know, the last time we spoke about reincarnation on this show, I gave, you know, again, I love making things simple. So we spoke about Blockbuster Video, which, yeah, was my Friday night date night with now my wife, Claire, for a long time, you know, go and get a couple of videotapes or then DVDs if we were really modern. But this idea that maybe in heaven there's like a Blockbuster Video, and you go and you find the section that you're interested in, and you're thinking about your experiences, and to a certain extent you can have a quick look at the back, see a synopsis, and think, yeah, I like that part of the world, the weather looks good, the parent looks good. And again, my friend Ralph Steadman used to say, look, just imagine that you could only choose, you know, 4 different things in Blockbuster Video. You could choose whether or not you're going to be a man or a woman. You could choose whether or not you're going to be healthy or strong. He said, after you've done that once in that combination, he said, there'd still be like another 30 combinations just with those 4 properties. And then imagine there isn't just 4 properties, there's 10,000 different properties and different calculations, which might encourage why people would do it. And I said, you know, as a layman, you know, Ralph, but why would you just not choose the beautiful love story where everyone lives happily ever after, everyone's happy? And he said, well, maybe you would the first time, and it's only after you've watched it the first time you then think, oh, I need a bit more drama. Or actually you get to a point where you watch all the DVD back, all the lives, and you think, I've always been the star of all those shows. And I look around at all the enablers, all the people that enabled me to have those experiences, And now I look at that amazing staff and servants I had that served me, and I'm thinking, who should serve them? Maybe I should go back and star in their film so I get to serve them. And I love that idea of the plain English sort of choice. And of course, you mentioned their free will. You don't like the script, you've got this free will. And you know what? We cruelly erased your memory of the trip to Blockbuster in the first place. You don't remember choosing always.
No, I mean, I always say I must have been a sadomasochist. I must have been higher off my head, when I signed the contract up there. But I look back now and I am so grateful for all my experiences and all the characters that have been in my life reel to date. I mean, I couldn't have done it without them. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for them. So how can I not have that love for them? How can I not be grateful?
Yeah, no, really nice. Jackie Lewis was just saying that she's starting to see dark shadows and outlines of people and animals. And although it's scary and tingles, I mean, ultimately, Jackie, if it's scary, ask not to see it again. But I do encourage you. I don't think there's anything that can actually hurt us without consent. We interviewed a guy called Malcolm Robinson on the show just before Christmas, and Malcolm's just finished a book entitled "Leave Me Alone," where they talk about shadow people, perhaps beings from another dimension, where people have sort of felt scary. And ultimately, Malcolm makes no real strong opinions on either side. Is it spirit beings? Is it multi-dimensional, beings, sort of creatures? Ultimately, if no one else is seeing it with their physical eyes, it's something that, at crude level, is vibrating at a different level, a frequency or a different sort of energy. If you're intrigued, you always encourage it. Ask who it is. If it's not your direct guide, start to learn who your guides are and ask your guides. I mean, one of my guides, a guy called Bob Blunt, and he was my godfather as alive. I rely on him all the time because when I'm not sure, I'm like, Bob, help me out here. Let me know what's going on. And Bob will like, well, I'll have to go off and find out because I didn't suddenly become an expert in the spirit world. And off he goes, and he comes back and sort of helps me. So I think having a relationship with a guide or guide team for me helps me contextualize it. But yeah, as my dad always used to say to me, whatever you've got, from wherever it comes, challenge that communicator to verify it, so that you're grateful for it, but you want to know more about it. Brigitte, any thoughts on that?
No, I totally agree. I do. And like I said, it's all about developing yourself, and it's all about asking the questions and doing that every day, setting aside maybe 10 minutes or so, and trying to figure it out, because you will get there. For sure you will, Jackie, for sure. I don't see why not. So you just, like Ash said, even though you get the tingles just before you see them, it's either our human mind that gets scared, but you just have to ask them if you, how do I put this? You just have to ask them who they are.
Okay, great. And Jackie,
if it doesn't, sorry. And if it doesn't feel right to you after that, then tell them politely to go away. It's okay.
Okay. And Jackie, I just drew this card for you, which is destruction. And there's an awful lot going in this card. There's a church in the background that's been burnt. Inside is this tower which is on fire. There's carnage and chaos sort of all around. The tower is continuing to be sieged and stormed. And there's this woman that's tied to this stake, helpless. War, vandalism, sort of chaos, all this sort of stuff going on. And I always draw into other sort of religions and sort of beliefs. One of the Indian goddesses, Kali, and I've got a good friend, Kali. I always sort of think about this card because I think about the survival. I think about Warrior Creed we were talking about, and I talk about the fact that in our human nature, destruction and some of those things we've just happened is there. And I want to say, Jackie, that there's an element of that conflict in the past, that toxic element, that land where there are still some ashes smoothing, soldering, and like a phoenix you continue to rise with that. But this reflection of Kali as the warrior creed, this Indian goddess. I want to talk about you and this warrior creed, particularly there. And I want to talk about the fact that although people might be afraid, there's the woman that's on the stake in the background, and they say afraid of her, Kali standing strong, your own nature, and that although people might want to destroy the things they don't understand, as we start to understand more about ourselves, it's without the fire, sometimes nothing new can be built. The opportunity to start afresh. And I want to say, Jackie, that you'd be aware of this conflict and something I want to describe as toxic, which you leave. But without that fire, nothing else can be built. Some of the sad and tragic things we see around the world, and wildfires, a way sometimes, Mother Earth finding a way to start something new, those new shoots. And I think that this is all about you moving forwards, onwards, rising, and not to be afraid of people that want to destroy the things they don't understand. But Geeta, anything you wanted to add?
Kali is Arturian, actually.
Sorry?
Kali is actually Arturian.
Okay.
Arturian, just like Krishna. It's funny because she's on my list to channel, but you're right. Kali stands for transformation, and it's very, very powerful transformation. So it's not like it's going to be easy. It's not going to be gentle. It's going to be a little bit hardcore, but that is exactly what you need. And so the thing that I got, and it's an old expression, there's two of them. All that glitters is not gold, right? And sometimes we have people around us that don't really serve us, but it's like, how do we let them go? But that's your responsibility. The other one that I got is chop. What is that saying? It's chop wood. So having that patience and doing things step by step, because you're actually on the right path. I'm not saying your life has been easy, because it's not. But I always say, the greater the challenges, the better the opportunities to change.
Lovely. And I love we don't obviously rehearse any of this stuff, folks. I love the fact that I can mention the name like Kali, but get is straight sort of quoting different things about it, because one of the things I used to love about your first show on Spiritual Psychics TV was you went right back down to sort of like ancient traditions and myths, and humans being orators and storytellers, how they would sort of bring history through. You recommend some good books, and I went off and sort of led. But I've always believed that in this same way that I do believe you can reincarnate. Some of our early understanding as human beings that we then depicted as gods was just because this was something greater than what we understood at the time, and there was this ability to sort of try and describe it. And I think we often think about higher energy. Sometimes even we look up for heaven, don't we? It's higher. Actually, a lot of the ancient alien sort of theory about gods arriving on chariots of fire, was it also this understanding of something bigger, higher, or faster sort of frequency? So when you talk about beings that communicate or channel through, some people I think have described what they saw as ascended, like masters and mistresses in a certain way, people that have had lots of incarnations, not necessarily on this planet, but contribute towards a personality. And I loved your pod analogy of the various seeds all being within that pod. Is that right? Have I summarized that correctly?
Exactly. The seed in a pod, soul in a pod. That, yeah. I'm really sorry, but we had Jackie just now, but the problem is I'm getting light language for her, and
okay.
I kind of need to do that, but I don't know if she's open to it. And it's almost like I just need to rewire her. They need to rewire her just a little bit.
Well, she said that it made sense what we said so far. And we did say to people we were going to explain a little bit about light language, which you've explained as more of a subconscious form of communication, where you don't need to consciously try and understand or interpret it.
No, you do not.
So as an experiment, offer Jackie some pearls of wisdom around that, and then we'll pull it apart, and I'll play layman on that.
Well, if I'm going to speak light language, it's going to sound like gobbledygook or gerbil language, but that's okay. But it's just, so I always need to ask if they're open to it. Yes, she's saying yes. I just see it now. Okay, perfect. So Because if I'm going to start talking and it's English, right, and they come through, it's like, blah, 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 I lose track. So here I go. Okay, Jackie. And you know, everyone can, you know, there's always bits and pieces for other people. So you can all close your eyes if you want to. And just take a deep breath. Okay. And I will talk a little bit of English and then go light language and then talk a little bit of English, because that's just easier that way, so that you understand exactly what's going on. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Hushmi titi alla katiti nice titi alla katata ini ta. So I want you to see that light going through your crown chakra. All right, that pure white light. Hushina nakala katata anni kiki tita alla katati ni mama tu ya makatata I. And let it flow through. Really let it flow through. Ushimana nana iya tatata titi maka la 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 iti ala la la kiki atania mama manika ta. So there's all light codes coming through, and just let it anchor within your body. Shushimila kaania tata ashinini na hushimaka kalakaji iti ni la la utiti ma atiti ai umalai Ushinina kulimiti alakalin hatiti amma la 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 ini atatai Ushinini alakakaka iti uchichichi ali, and just let it cleanse your aura. Tichichi malakaka atiti ani alalakia mama atoa. Uya madatini akakali auya tichuali mama atiti uya makatata atati atasa naikali kititi atiti and just let it flow through.
Thank you. Thank you, Brigitte, for that. So, you know, folks like me, a lot of you may have been experiencing, you know, that for the first time. We said, you know, for a bit of an experiment, we would allow that on the show tonight. Let us know your thoughts. And you know, Brigitte, I said that I would sort of interpret as a sort of layman. So first thing we spoke about was human language, something we've almost sort of created, but you were able to make a noise, and I'll call it a noise rather than a language, but it almost sounded musical, like it had frequencies and sort of harmonies. So is the language something which was designed to be spoken, or is that you understanding and then making that noise based on what it is you're receiving?
No, it's it's hard to explain. So it's just it's not like channeling where I get the words. It just kind of just like flows through to me, and I just talk, and sometimes they're just different beings. So it's different. It's different. Like I said, with channeling or automatic writing, you see the words in your head sometimes.
Yeah.
But this is totally different.
And I've seen some people that have claimed to sketch or draw or write this language, and it reminded me of almost like a hieroglyphic. It was a language of some sort that could be written, but again, wasn't necessarily designed to be spoken or read. That's the interpretation of when it then does come out.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Jackie. I'm glad that was powerful. Just let it resonate with you, and see how you feel the next couple of days. And just let me know. You know, I'm a Universal Light Warriors. Just PM me, and I'll respond to you. And if you need any more, just give me a shout. So light language. That's a really nice question. So light language is, I call that galactic language. So it's from the light beings. And like I said before, I work a lot with the Syrian beings. I work a lot with the rainbow reptilians, who are actually peacemakers within the galaxy. I work with the aquatics. I call them aquatic beings. So there are the squid heads, as I call them, super smart. Then there's so many. I mean, some of them I can't even describe, but there are others that have like a fish head. And sometimes I'll work with the Pleiadians. And then there are fuzzy ones that one of them has very big ears and they're blue. So they're all different. They're all different, but they're all really wanting to help humanity. You know, because when we look at the word human, right? We have you, HUE, which is light, and man. We're all light men walking this plane, recovering the light that we have, you know, because we've cloaked the light within us. And so we're recovering that light by scrubbing up the soot of our experiences.
And you think about, because you've mentioned there, well, we did actually, when we were asked different questions, other types of beings, you know, in layman's terms, or, you know, from a Hollywood flair, what people might describe as aliens or something non-Earth like. But are you talking about beings that are in existence at the same sort of relative time that we're in now, or beings that have existed or are continue to be in existence?
No, they continue to be in existence. So the other one that people may have heard of is Esther Chiron, who is the commander or captain of the Galactic Starfleet, or you know, Federation of Light. And so these beings, you know, we exist in this time, but time is an illusion. That is the thing. So they exist everywhere simultaneously, but it's, I mean, I've seen many of them, especially my astral travels. But yeah, I'm not scared of them. They're beautiful, beautiful beings, all of them, really. And I love them. Yes, we know the Ascended Masters and the Archangels. I do work a lot with Archangel Michael. I love him. I really, really do, because, you know, we talk about fear, and I always say, and this is quite funny how Michael says it, and the Ascended Masters, Saint Germain, they're always like, you know, fear is the Lord Shen to your noodled up Kung Fu Panda, right? It's the kryptonite to your Superman or Supergirl. It's the Joker to your peeing in your pants Batman, you know, stuff like that, because it's true. Fear is an illusion. It's our limiting beliefs, whilst we are unlimited beings.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll ask Kerry's question next about colour healing. But apart from the History Channel after 9 o'clock, when it starts talking about ancient aliens and ancient apocalypse, and this concept that perhaps just before the end of the last ice age, there was an ancient knowledge amongst civilizations, which, as a result of destruction on Earth, some of that was lost. Do you think it's quite possible that this knowledge isn't necessarily a new knowledge, but a forgotten knowledge which is resurfacing?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, it's funny because people look for ancient civilizations, and Spirit are always like, yeah, but you hold all the knowledge within. All you need to do is heal up and recover that ancient knowledge, because it's slumbered in your DNA. It's dormant in your DNA. It really is.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Brigitte. So, yeah, Kerry's saying, is light language the same as colour healing? I think that we could almost answer another question of what is colour healing. But I think you've answered light language is the language of light beings. And yes. Colour healing, if we break down that into colours and healing is that sort of purpose or that intention of recovering or getting better or getting past sort of trauma. But, you know, you do healing. In fact, you've got a website with the word healing in it. What's your website? Let's remind people.
It's powersoulhealing.com.
Powersoulhealing.com. What do you make? What is color healing?
It's healing with colors.
Yeah, absolutely. Rinsil does what it says in there, and colors, you know, vibrant and powers. My mum, when she does psychic readings, always reads colors with people, and sometimes, you know, there'll be psychics and spiritual here that draw auras and the different colors of the auras, and I know that your aura can change. You know, some of the photography that people can capture a moment, can't they, where they're surrounded about certain colors. Lots of spiritualists love the sunflower, the beautiful vibrance of the yellow, within Wimbledon Spiritualist Church and Life After Death promotion. We talk about the purple, the power of the purple, and the healing colour. You mentioned Saint Germain, and I've always associated this like purple flame, with sort of him. So yeah, it's but intention, isn't it? You know, good intention, unconditional love, wanting someone to overcome or get better or resolve from their sufferings, and then using color as a result of that as well. Light language, a language of light beings or beings with a light.
Yeah, a good
Great.
question, this one.
So DJ's Hopland said, can trauma push you into taking and embracing your spiritual way of life? We started to answer that actually a bit earlier on. We ultimately said yes, but do you want to go on a bit more about that? And then I will share something, and then I will do a reading for DJ.
Yeah, so trauma is the best way to, I always say trauma is the best way to, you know, the more challenges you have, as I said, the greater the opportunity to transform your life. But at the end of the day, it's entirely up to you whether you choose to remain in that victimhood, right? Or whether you decide, you know what, I've had enough, I really want to change my life. And yes, you embrace your spiritual way of life more because you are wanting to heal. How you choose to heal is entirely up to you. There's no right and wrong or in how you choose to experience life, honestly. But that's the beauty of, you know, the Ascended Master Saint Germain always says, you know what? Yes, it's Alice in Wonderland. But hang on, wasn't the Wonderland in Alice all along? Precisely that. The Wonderland is in yourself, right? And so you have to walk inward and face those pesky demons and heal up and alchemize. But when you turn inward, the beauty about it is that you deep dive into your own soul and you find these pearls of wisdom that you never knew were there. And so this is how you expand your consciousness. And this is how you know, it's like following the little breadcrumbs, because your guides will always leave you little breadcrumbs. Oftentimes we just ignore them. It's like, you know what, we've forgotten. It's like here on earth, it's like, oh, we've forgotten about you. You know, why am I going through this crap in life? And they're like, yeah, but hang on, I put the breadcrumb right in front of you and you're not seeing it. You know, I was the same for many years. But yes, absolutely. You just expand and you progress.
One of the interesting, you know, I'm 40 years old now. I've been born into spiritualism with spiritualist parents. Almost without exception, everyone I've ever met that is in some way working within spiritualism as a healer or a medium, as a psychic, even some of the people making the tea, often found a reason to start developing or working more of the gifts. Now, I had a fantastic belief in life after death growing up. It was part of my life. And I used to say to my mum and dad, I hope you don't get offended that I'll never follow your footsteps. And here I am now as an accredited celebrant. But it was actually, even when I was a teenager and seeing and hearing spirit, my first development was to turn it all off because I didn't want to do that. I was very happy that it existed. I just didn't want to work with those gifts. But actually, it was 15 years ago when I had a stroke. I had a major stroke, killed 1/3 of the brain cells on the left-hand side of my head. And as well as the amazing, you know, NHS and doctors that went to try and save me, I know that the gift of healing helped me. You know, my doctor, my neurologist said you made a spontaneous recovery, which is where there's no human intelligence involved, and you can say, oh, you did it yourself, your body. I know that people, healers and network of healers, all sending that love, some working with light, some as medical insurance, all of that different. And it changed what I wanted to do with the gifts. It changed what I wanted to do with my spiritual, in a way, my own sort of trauma. But what was really interesting is my dad had been told by other people within spiritualism that it would take something like that in my 20s to change my direction. So yeah, I really liked your answer to your question there. And DJ's Hopland show, I'm just going to call you your DJ for the time being. I just want to show you this card that I drew for you. It's beautiful peacocks, the libido. And in this card, you've got a lot going on, but you've got one peacock showing off their feathers, the peacocking. I want to sort of explain this experience around you at the moment of someone that is a bit of peacock, heads up, beautiful colours, the feathers are out there. The other peacock is more like a retired sheepdog that's sort of, you know, waiting around on the perimeter and, you know, doesn't need to bark at everything that goes bang in the night because they have the feathers, they have the ability to show off. but actually you've missed the snake in the grass. And there's a snake between the two peacocks, and there's running water, and actually you're just making yourself a bit of a target. And I want to say that there's a situation right now where you're aware of someone peacocking. There's an element of arrogance involved in that, and they're almost challenging you to compete in a certain way. I also want to say that you're aware of this snake in the grass, and there's someone who is looking to get rid of that old skin and move on. They have fangs and the capacity for violence, and that you're just aware of the situation. It's just like you're a little bit chilled out. You're there, you're seeing it, you can see it all happening. You see the snake approaching the peacock showing off, and you can almost see this about to happen. But the water's trickling in the background there, this freshness, this new, this sort of vibrance of life. So I just wanted to give you that card, DJ. Brigitte.
I don't have to add anything, look.
Ah.
Chaos and conflict, but it's beautiful. Honestly, DJ, that's just beautiful, because sometimes we have to fall apart. Everything just needs to break apart so that we can come back together, right? It's really, really important, and I call that transformation. And chaos and conflict is just an experience. How you choose to react makes all the difference.
Yeah, another powerful bit of advice there. And and I think people who watch the show know I've spoke about my own mental health, and at times I've struggled to overcome bouts of depression and anxiety. Thank you for the feedback, DJ, saying that's great. But I did cognitive behaviour therapy as one of the things. I was help when I was overeating, and someone mentioned me looking fantastic today. Thank you very much. I've lost about 35 pounds now. I mean, in weight since my biggest, so definitely on the right track. But there was this element of cognitive behaviour therapy around control, and how maybe me overeating, which was destructive of my body, was me trying to find something I could control in a world I couldn't control. And the cognitive behavior therapy was getting to the point of I can always control how I react to the situation that I wasn't in control of, including the overeating. And I love the way you sort of said it there, which is, in this life ride that you're going with, how you react to it, or whether or not you choose to stay on or get off, is also entirely up to you.
Yeah, and there's always the one thing that they always say up there. It's like, oh, what are you going to do? Are you going to remain constipated, or are you going to sweat the chilies and just sweat out the experience and heal up, and become far more enlightened within yourself?
Lovely. Thanks for the feedback, DJ. Pamela says she's very open-minded and been told by a medium I'm spiritual. I thought it for many years, but so glad it's been confirmed. I get a shiver all down my body. Is that from a past loved ones? I mean, it could be because you're cold, Pamela. You never know with a shiver. Always look for what's going on in your environment as well. But yeah, no, absolutely. It's great that a medium said that to you. I don't think you need a medium to tell you that, and I think it's a choice. We spoke about free will, didn't we, Brigitte? You choose whether or not to listen to the guide that you might have had since birth, or whether or not you choose to march to the beat of your own drum. You choose to go in the opposite direction of the pull of elastic, trying to keep you on the straight and narrow. But, it's all about working out how your body is going to respond to communication. Brigitte kept talking about subconscious. And actually, if shivering is going to be one of your telltale signs, ask your guide team, what is it you're going to give me when I'm sort of going to work with? Brigitte, what do you think?
No, I totally agree. Totally agree with you.
Nice.
Yeah, I absolutely.
I mean,
what? Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
We're all spiritual beings having a human experience, right? We're all zipped up in this bodysuit. Our light particles are zipped up in this earthly clay suit.
Nice. And I love it when we agree. I also relish the challenge of disagreeing. But yeah, I've got a card for you, Pamela, which is the body. And this card, you've got this human being there, but this human being has been stripped down to the outer layers. Now, and on this show, I've spoke about interfaces, spiritual body, psychic body, emotional body, and all these different interfaces. But right now, I want to talk about this stripped down. All the outer layer has gone. What we've got the muscles, we've got the veins, and actually the background of this card in particular is an enlarged version of the veins, all in different shades of red and blue. Not 50 Shades of Grey, it's not that type of show. The red and blue. And the card for me initially stands for this physical makeup, the interfaces, indicating health and bodily well-being or lack of it. And I want to say that you're in need of some spiritual healing, Pamela, and if that's the case and you're welcome, then I'd like to send you some healing tonight. I also think that me drawing this card implies there's this rhythm of the body and the interfaces, the emotional self, the spiritual self, the physical self, and all of this, I think, like any good interface, rely on each other. You need, the two interfaces above, the two interfaces below, your mind, your body, your soul, your health and happiness, your home and work life. Getting this balance right, getting the interfaces working for you so that it's all working together. That's what I sort of want to say. There's a lot of that going on at the moment, Pamela, but, continue to invest in yourself and continue to heal yourself when you want. Brigitte.
Well, do you want me to add anything? I mean, look at it. That's not 50 Shades of Grey, but it is talking about love, about the feminine. But it's also the other one that I got was this one, clean, exactly what you said, clean it up. So this is about you getting rid of the stuff that's been surfacing, and you need to get rid of it. It's not asking to be suppressed. It's not asking you to play whack-a-mole with your emotions, because that's what we often do, right? Because we're like, no, I'm not dealing with that. Pamela, you need to deal with it, because honestly, what's on the other side of that is so much more beautiful.
Great. Last couple of questions, folks. Last couple of opportunities for us to answer them and give readings. But I thoroughly enjoyed having you on the show tonight, folks. And if you've loved having Brigitte here as well, do give us those comments in the chat bar so we can invite her back. She's very busy, as well as doing all the amazing work she's been telling us. Brigitte, you've just published your latest book.
Yes. I've published my book, which is out on Amazon, Becoming Authentically Me, where I talk about, the first part of the book is I talk about the conscious shift and why everything happened with COVID and everything. And their take on it's quite hilarious, actually. We take everything so seriously. But, where I was saying, the ascension process is all about 3D to 5D. It's about shifting your consciousness and letting go of the conditioning, letting go of the fear, letting go of the ego and separation, and all these, how we compare to one another. I'm sorry, I don't care where you're from. I don't care what nationality you are. I don't care if you're an alien, so to speak. We may be different in our physical essence, right? The way we appear, but the light within us, oh my gosh, it's all the same. We're all cut from the same spark of wood. And so, so that's the first part. I talk about the fact that there is no death. You cannot die. You are energy. So you merely transform, and you keep transforming, and you keep evolving, because you're consciousness. You are a light body, so to speak. So I talk about that. I introduce Archangel Michael. I talk about the Atlanteans. I talk about Antarctica. I talk about South America. A lot of ancient stuff and a lot of channeled stuff. And then the second part of my book is about my life and all the trauma that I've been through. And there are exercises that the many masters have given to me for you, and even the Violet Flame one from the Ascended Master Saint Germain, and how I healed up, and all the hoops I had to jump through to figure life out. And it's returning about the wholesomeness of our authentic nature. It's so important, because we're all deserving of living a life fulfilled, but we can only do that if we decide to heal up, right? Because otherwise we remain in that dis-ease within ourselves. That means our soul is not aligned with our body, because we feel icky about stuff and we just need to let it go. Experiences are not meant to taunt you. They're not meant to downgrade you, but they're meant to elevate you and to help you expand your consciousness, right? And you want to live a joyful life. You're a manifester. So when it goes up the creek, you're the only one to blame for that, right? And you need to fix it. You're like, well, how can I fix it? Well, how about you heal yourself? It's not hard, but you have to take that first step.
Great. Thank you for that. I want to reach out. Jason Maskell, I think, he's just sent me a message. If you're still on the show, let us know in the chat bar. Yeah, he is. My mind's nearly great guy. So I'll just I drew a card for the person Eva that just asked us that last question. I'll answer that and then I'll come to you, Jason. So Eva, your question was whether or not our spirit friends and family sort of see us. Or what they see. I'll get Brigitte to give her sort of opinion on that. But obviously, I don't believe they have any physical eyes. They have a spiritual body they might choose to create, but they're aware of this sort of what we're going through in this 3D experience. And I know that because they're able to describe situations that we're going through right now, but not necessarily seeing us in the same way that we see each other now. So I'll get Brigitte to answer that question, and then I'll give you your card, and then I'll just go back to Jason.
You are absolutely spot on, Ash. They don't see us as we are. They see us as we truly are. So the light body, the essence of who we actually are. And this is funny. I mentioned this in my book. Sorry, I need to just say this. And it's really funny because Anubis is quite funny, the Egyptian god, and he's always like, yeah, but when you have mediums. And I always say, much kudos to them. They channel an aspect of a person that once was. They do not channel the light being that they are, right? Because that in itself is just mind-blowing. And I think the human mind cannot quite comprehend that. So when we go and see a medium, it's really because, we want to get messages from a spirit that has that and how do you put it? An aspect that once was and that lived on the earth plane.
Nice, thank you very much. And Eva, the card that I just drew for you very quickly is prison, and I just want to sort of just say that there is this situation that you've just gone through, and that you would understand this where seamlessly it feels like the key has just been turned on you, okay, and you felt hopeless, you felt somewhat trapped, you felt unable to act. But importantly, although you may see yourself as shackled, as your arms, as your legs, and you trapped inside this prison, although the key has been turned, the door is open. Behind you, illuminating the cell, is all this light, all this love, which shows that is out there. There is no reason left to stay. The food that was there within that card with the food, there's nothing there for you. There's no reason to stay here. Onwards, forwards, out of the cell. And I know that you've felt vulnerable and you felt helpless. You want to add anything to that, Brigitte?
Well, what do I need to add? Look at it. Time to go. It's time to shut the door on something, and you're nearly there. When you shut doors, there are always other opportunities. And actually, it's when they say time to go, actually, you're nearly there. That's all I can say because Ash has already said everything.
Well, I need to start getting you do your one first to prove that you're not just choosing your card to match. And Jason was saying that he's enjoyed the show. He's found it interesting, opening his mind to new ways to connect to your guides and guides. So, Jason, I drew a card for you, and this card here is the Stranger. Okay, and it's like there's a stranger at the door, but you've opened the door, okay? And this is an outward opening door, and it's like your front door, okay? And there's this idea about you being the king of your castle, but you actually wanting to see who is at the door. You are an inquirer. You're asking these questions. In the shadows, making the entrance to your porchway at this door is this character. Now, the sex is irrelevant. Could be a man, could be a woman, could be someone that identifies as never. But there's this being at your door, and you want to find out who they are. And I want to gently encourage you, Jason. I want you to say that. I mean, obviously, if this is actually a stranger at your front door, maybe keep the chain on and check who they are. But, this is about your spiritual awakening, Jason. And as you open that door, taking those steps, asking those questions, it's really important. Now, this stranger perhaps represents or symbolizes the part of our nature our sights, our mind, that we've shut out, but we are opening the door again. And we're opening the door to the possibility. You just said about opening your mind. Like a parachute, your mind works better when it's open. Malcolm Robinson always used to say that. So keep that mind open, keep that door open. Something which has been shut out or compartmentalized is being opened up. And this is an exciting time. Anything that has been excluded, it's now time to own it, time to find what's going on. Perhaps it was a bit of me that was neglected, and I'm opening the door and I'm welcoming it back as I start to invest in myself. I also want to say here for you, Jason, is represented within that card is the caution. So I was making the joke about an actual stranger, keep the chain on, but caution. I'm teaching you to be cautious. And if someone says, I don't understand, Jason, why are you reserved? You can say, I was taught to be cautious. And as you go forward, understanding that's part of your foundation, that wisdom, that's really important. So don't worry about any fear or apprehension you may feel towards the new people in your lives. You were taught to be cautious, but you are experimenting. Brigitte.
Yeah, I got a little different. I kind of like this, the fork in the road. So you got the little llama or goat, and then you've got the monkey. So to me, it's, you know, when I see that, it's like you're standing there and like, oh, what am I supposed to do? But there is no right or wrong choice, they're saying here. But they're saying don't get distracted by the monkey mind. Okay, just be yourself and figure it out. Yes, there are trees around there, but the clearing is open. It doesn't matter which way what decision you make, which way you're headed. Eventually, you will get there.
Nice, really nice. Let's just get one more question and reading. Our producer Richard will choose at random one of the last couple of questions and bring it up to us. And I'm going to keep my mouth shut and let Brigitte answer first, so that I come in towards the end.
What, this question?
Yeah, Dorothy.
We are all going to stand up on our own, and we won't get anything. Yeah, but this comes back to everyone can learn to be a medium. It's overcoming that fear, right? Because fear is false evidence appearing real, or a spirit always tell me it's either falling endlessly, right, into that abyss, or a rising revolutionary. And you have to ask yourself, why are you afraid to stand up, or, you know, that you won't get anything, right? And you hate public speaking. Why do you hate public speaking? Is that like a trigger? Is that something that you need to work on? Because you do. You have it in you. It's just overcoming the hurdles that you have created. Yeah, so everybody can do it. And if it's not mediumship for you, then maybe it's something else. But there shouldn't be a reason. If you keep going to the development class and you keep learning about yourself and understanding what the issues are and working through them, right, then you will start to become a far clearer channel. There shouldn't be any reason why.
Absolutely. I'll get you to draw a card before I do just answer that question. But if you hate public speaking, you definitely take the advice Brigitte has given you. But I was just going to say, wasn't necessarily you, Brigitte, speaking earlier on, was it? You allowed someone else to use you to speak.
Yeah, but you know, when we talk about public speaking, right, and it's taken me years to get to that point where I can now be authentically myself, right? Because I never used to be able to speak up. Now, if you remember Spirit Seeker several years ago, where I had to speak up and talk about channeling, and I felt so frustrated, so flustered within myself, because I felt like people didn't want to know. And I sat back down feeling like this, like balled up. Now I'm good because I have learned to, like I said, I've overcome all my trauma, and I'm okay with speaking because I'm here to empower people to return to the sacred grid, you know, the true essence. And that's what life is all about. It's really about empowering others and inspiring others. So it's really important to find your voice. And the only way you're going to find it is by healing yourself. I know it's terrible, isn't it? It's all about healing. And you know what? I'm a continuous work in progress too. So, you know, we're all perfect. The light of our souls are all perfectly awesome, but it's our conditioning that, you know, we continuously need to work. We continuously need to work on ourselves and know that when we need to go to a healer, then we go to a healer. We need to learn to listen to our inner voice, because we don't often do that.
Nice.
So yeah, anyhow, let me pick a card now. Let's see. Whoa. Sorry. Do you know what I see? This bless. Can you see that? It's a polar bear.
Ah, beautiful.
Yeah, it's about a leg up, but it's sometimes we feel so, like I said, like how I felt. Sometimes we feel that cold within ourselves, and what I mean with the cold is saying, you know, we feel that fear within ourselves, but that fear is our limiting belief system that we have created, because you are an unlimited divine being, and you know, you need to go through this polar, this North Pole, and you need to. It's kind of nice, because you know this about yourself, Dorothy, and it's now time to pull yourself together and move forward on the path. And that's just really important. And also what they're saying here, it's okay to get support from others. And I think that's really important. But when you get the support from others, you know, they're saying, oh, how do you put this? Take what resonates with you and leave the rest.
Lovely. And I drew this card for you, the work card. So, you know, keep on working, keep on investing, keep on doing. But if you look at this card, there's all these amazing interconnecting wheels and cogs of the sort of the ultimate machine, all working in synchronicity with each other. Complex antique machine, you know, click clock, all in combination with each other. But within that is this cutting edge wheel, untouched by the rest, Dorothy. And this idea that you can march to the beat of your own drum, you can choose to be a smaller cog as part of this bigger ancient machine, but recognize the importance and the value of your own individual cog and wheel. Keep on keeping on, keep on working, keep on invested, keep on going. And absolutely, Dorothy, the fact you're here tonight on a Friday night watching this show, that is in itself a continued professional development around investing into you. And I'm grateful for all of you that have spent time with us this evening on a Friday night. If you're watching the show on playback and it's not Friday, happy Tuesday, or whatever day it may be. Thank you very much to our producer, Richard James, for putting this all together. A great ambassador for spiritualism. And Birgitta, thank you so much for being a lovely guest, for coming on and sharing your experience, sharing some of your wisdom, and sharing some light language.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. And I just want you guys to know that, you know, you're never alone. And if you're suffering, do not suffer in silence, but get the support that you need. And know that Ashley, Richard, and I love you all.
Absolutely. And if you love us, you can show that on Facebook by giving us a love, giving us a thumbs up, help us build the community. And remember to share this feed, folks. Help us build this community. Help us keep Spiritual Psychics TV free for you all. Any final words, Birgitta?
No, I mean, you know, if you want to get my book on Amazon, Becoming Authentically Me, I'm going to put that in the chat anyway. Then get it. It's you know, I've had a lot of feedback where people have said it's so encoded with healing, and people have written all throughout the book, and it's nice to hear that feedback. But I didn't write it for me. I wrote it for you.
That's great. Check out the SPTV schedule, folks, over at SPTV UK. Find out about all the amazing shows we've got on, including the Divine Service at Women of Spiritualist Church Sunday mornings. Lots of amazing things going on. Head over to spiritseeker.co.uk. Find out more about our weekend in Stratford upon Avon in October. And folks, really excited that we have the awards coming back. SPTV UK. You can find out all about how to nominate your favourite readers, healers, psychic, spiritualists, spiritual people from anywhere in the world. They don't have to be on this show, although I'm biased. I think some of the best in the world do come onto this show, including our guests. But you can nominate absolutely anybody, folks. And it's a great way of showing that love, is that let people know by nominating them, recognising them for one of the achievement awards. Kelly McKeaton and others, good night and God bless. Thank you.
Spiritual Psychics TV is hosting our annual recognition of achievements, acknowledging those who dedicate their lives through spiritual acts of kindness. Candidates can register and put themselves forward to be acknowledged. Viewers can also nominate who they feel should be recognized for an achievement. Exclusively broadcasted live on SPTV, with 100% of the public votes being announced on Saturday the 27th of May from 7:30 p.m. For more information, please visit awards.spiritualpsychicstv.online. Spiritual Psychics TV, bringing spiritual people together. My Spirit Life is a free online interactive magazine for those who have an interest in improving their spiritual lives. Authors can upload images, videos, and audio clips to their own articles. The public can place comments, rate the article, and follow the author. All articles are vetted before being published. For more information and to place your own article, please visit myspiritlife.co.uk. Tomorrow night from 8 p.m, SPTV is joined by another guest who will be demonstrating their mediumship abilities by offering free readings to our viewers. This Sunday from 11 a.m, Wimbledon Spiritualist Church hosts the Divine Service with online and on-location readings. Join Polly, Jane, and Sarah for the Sunday Sofa from 4 p.m. tomorrow. The show consists of advice, gossip, and free readings, be it oracle card or mediumship.